The Forum on the Family is one of the premier family conferences held each year with international and national speakers and political leaders. Hosted by Family First New Zealand, the Forum brings together a national network of family-focused organisations, scholars, lobby groups, church leaders and community groups who are part of a growing movement to bring New Zealand to a point where families are strengthened, marriage is honoured, life is protected and religious freedom is defended. This year's conference will again be held at the Dewdrop Event Centre in Manukau City, not too far from the Auckland Airport, on Thursday 28th of August and Friday 29th of August. Yes, because of demand, we're starting the conference earlier with 3 important sessions and a time of networking on the Thursday evening, and then a full-day program all day Friday. This year's theme is Courage at a Cultural Tipping Point. The culture is slowly but surely waking up to the harmful effects of the radical left-wing agenda and the destruction of family values that we all hold dear. Some countries have even figured out how to define a woman. And at this year's conference, once again, we have an amazing lineup of brave speakers from the US, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. Dr. Miriam Grossman last spoke at our forum in 2012. You may also recognise her from the recent Daily Wire documentary, What is a Woman? But more recently, she's released an important book on the transgender agenda. I'll be doing a live interview with Dr. Grossman from New York, where she is based. Jeff Johnson is an issues analyst for Focus on the Family in the United States. We're also very excited to have Dawn Hawkins discussing the issue of pornography and sexual exploitation. From Canada, we have Amanda Ackman bringing us a warning about the slippery slope of euthanasia. From Australia, we have Kirralie Smith, a wife, a mother, and an activist for biology and truth, but who is paying the price for speaking up. And for the first time in New Zealand, you will get to hear their side of the story. Israel and Maria Folau. Now, we're hoping that they'll be able to attend in person. They're keen to be here, but it does depend on Israel's rugby schedule in Japan. But either way, we'll get to hear from them personally and not via the hostile mainstream media. And finally, we're hosting and recording a special episode of Straight Talk before a live audience at the conference. It'll be a lively discussion and you can be part of that live audience. I want to invite you to this year's Forum on the Family. It starts Thursday night, 28th, 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and then all day Friday, 29th from 8:45 a.m. through to 4:30 p.m. It's the highlight of the year and you don't want to miss it. Arrange to be there. Book your flights today. Gather your friends. If you're concerned for our culture, our country and our families, you may be saying, what can I do? Well, step 1, attend the Forum on the Family. Have your spine stiffened by some fabulous speakers who will encourage, equip and inspire you. Now, the last couple of years have been sellouts, so don't delay. Go to our website, forumonthefamily.nz, for all the information you need. Register today. Don't miss this important family conference. Go to forumonthefamily.nz. Register today.
Well, good morning everyone, lovely to have you along, and as always encourage you if you can to come to the Forum on the Family. It's going to be amazing. Obviously all the guests that Bob's highlighted there, I'm looking forward to actually hearing from all of them. I've podcasted with most of them before, not Maria and Israel Folau, but just about everyone else I have, so they're amazing people and speakers. But the other thing I have to say about the Forum, like last year was it over 600 people? I mean, the place was packed. Absolutely packed, was that you actually get to network and meet incredible people. Anyway, I better do what I always do, which is saying good morning, because I just love doing this job, to Lynette there, and to Michael, and to Jackie there, and Ray Teehee. I suspect it's a lot cooler where most people are, because it's freezing here in Auckland. Although, once again, you'll say I'm probably quite weak, because I think it's about 5 degrees. Those in the South Island are going, oh, come on. So good morning to Dean. We've got Ian there. Dee must be up early, because he's read my new... read my new Substack this morning. I'll talk a bit about that later. But good morning. And Dee saying he doesn't want to keep listening to the promotion when I could be talking. Well, that's quite flattering. I talk too much anyway. So guys, there's as always quite a lot to touch on today. So I'm just trying to find where they are. I thought I put this on my social media. I'm not actually going to talk at this at length. We all know the issues around hospice funding. And good morning to Darren. Remiss of me, actually, not only saying good mornings. Obviously, this is solid ground for anyone who's new or coming across this across all the platforms that we stream across. So we're on everything from X to LinkedIn, Facebook to YouTube. Solid grounds where we talk the political, the cultural, the social, the ethical of the day from a good, effectively conservative foundation, which I love doing. Anything that catches my eye. But importantly, like those saying good morning, if you're on the Family First Facebook page, or you're on Family First's YouTube channel, your comments can come directly to me, like Rusty's here into studio. So obviously you're very welcome to say good morning where you are in the world, and certainly in New Zealand. But also if you've got any comments as we are talking, or any questions on what is happening, please hit me up. Very happy to talk about them. But I just wanted to draw this to your attention, because long and short, this is an editorial written by the head of the Post, so the Wellington newspaper, Tracy Watkins. In fact, she was in Parliament. Sorry, I always get distracted by the comments coming past me. But Tracy Watkins actually was one of the political press gallery when I was in Parliament. But as I say, now she's the editor of the Post. And she's written this really good, I was going to say opinion piece, but it's an editorial calling out the lack of funding around hospices in New Zealand, the lack of palliative care, and noting, as myself and Bob and others have, that euthanasia's fully funded, but hospices are not. So I suppose the long and short, and why I'm drawing it to your attention, is even those in mainstream media are beginning to pick up on this and calling it out. So I just think it was a positive in my mind. I mean, not the fact that palliative care and hospices are struggling, that is definitely not anything good. But we're seeing mainstream media, in this case, the editor of a major newspaper saying, hey, something's not right here. There needs to be greater and more funding. I think it's probably important to note too, and you can call this bias because of, my having been in Parliament and on the blue side, but the government has put more money in. The ministers put more money in, which in itself is a good thing. But it's into the general bucket. It's then up to the likes of Health New Zealand and the Ministry of Health to allocate that out, and I would argue at the moment they're not making the priority choices that they should. As I say, there should be more funding into palliative care. Anyway, I just thought it was really good to see the mainstream media working in that regard. I thought too, and I don't have any images for this, I've had a few people over the last couple of days talk to me and asking questions around obviously foreign affairs and what's happening with Iran. So I thought I'd just make a few comments there. I suppose a couple of very underlying points. None of us like war, none of us particularly like death. But I suppose the second point, as we live in a very fallen and human world, and sometimes things do happen, which sounds like a very diplomatic way of just saying we have to accept it. But when I look at Iran, and it's been a country, I've followed probably like many of you for many years, it is a despotic, broken country. Not the people, not its heritage, not its history. The people themselves are amazing, but they are told the imams, the theocracy that has run Iran since 1979 are completely, utterly corrupt and base. A friend of mine, he's Persian or Iranian, shared with me and with others some reflections which I put on my social media yesterday and which has absolutely gone off. In fact, many of you may have already seen it as he describes his own experiences because he's fled Iran. So I suppose I just want to underline that, and I think actually most people get it because we're not getting the same level of the, woke outrage around Iran as we are around, say, Gaza and the West Bank. And while to a degree they're connected, I think we just have to understand just how problematic Iran is, or the leadership of Iran. It's a bit like, I'm going to talk a bit later actually about what's happening here in New Zealand and more interference from the Chinese Communist Party right here in New Zealand soil. But long and short, Iran, the Iranian people, wonderful, but the regime which runs it is beyond terrible. And you might remember a couple of years ago, there were the massive protests here in New Zealand and around the world after the killing of Mahsa Amini, a young woman who was tortured and killed by the Iranians because she didn't wear her scarf correctly. I mean, this is a murderous, brutal regime. So I probably underlined that far too much. Theocratic, autocratic, all the words you want to add in. On top of that, they genuinely want to destroy many of its neighbours. Certainly Israel, which they describe as the little Satan, and the great Satan being the United States of America. So these theocratic leaders hate our way of life. They hate democracy. They hate our notion of human rights. They don't tolerate other religions. These people are dangerous. They are quite committed to the destructions of the likes of Israel and the United States. And again, this is not just Simon opining, this is, verifiable facts. I mean, the indiscriminate rocket fire at the moment is coming from Iran. They, of course, are the ones who fund Hamas and Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen. They've been the ones funding and supporting the jihadist groups in everywhere from Libya to Bahrain to obviously Iraq. These guys are destructive. You cast your mind back further, they were the ones effectively behind the Beirut bombing in 1983, which took out the US embassy and hundreds of Marines. I mean, these guys are bad news. And they operate here in New Zealand as well. Interference and just trying to cause trouble to our Persian or Iranian population. So these guys are bad. And so along with all of that, they want the bomb. They want the nuclear bomb. And for years now, New Zealand's been complicit in this, has just sat around talking with the Iranians. Lots and lots of diplomacy and negotiations and chats, all on the basis of Iran, don't build a bomb and we'll relieve you of sanctions. Well, all that's happened is the West have continued and naively had these discussions and negotiations while verifiably, year after year, Iran has basically built itself an atomic bomb, a nuclear bomb. Very close to, like they're at the last stages, which is why the airstrikes, in this case from Israel, have begun. And so you'd really just have to sit back. As I said at the start, we don't like war, we don't like death. Innocent people will die. But you have to ask yourself the question, excuse me, all a bit coffee this morning. I'm actually not unwell, I just think I've got something stuck in my throat, so excuse me for a second, I'm just going to grab a coffee. There we go. So you just have to ask yourself the question, what should any country in the Middle East, what should any country in the world do when a despotic, theocratic regime that tortures its own people, that spreads terrorism around the world, who is committed to destroying countries it doesn't like around it, including Israel, what do you do if they're about to acquire a nuclear weapon, which they say they will use? Personally, I don't think there's any choice but to remove that threat. And that's what's happening at the moment. A couple of other quick points. You'll notice while Israel is leading the attack, they see this as an existential threat. And by that, they realize in their perception, and this is a debating point for some, that if Iran did get nuclear weapons, that nothing would happen. I don't believe that, and Israel clearly doesn't believe that. They're acting in their self-defense and doing it preemptively, because you don't wait for them to get a bomb. But notice how all the other countries, so everyone from France to the UK, certainly the US, no one's actually condemning them. Now, they're not racing over there to help. That would really add fuel to the fire. But it is interesting with my foreign affairs hat on to notice they're not making a big stink. I think New Zealand, I have to say, is embarrassing itself. The statements from our Minister of Foreign Affairs and Prime Minister, I think, are just dangerously naive. The idea that, we just got to get back to the negotiating table. And look, we've been negotiating with Iran, or the world has, since 1979, and certainly around the nuclear weapons since 2015. If they really think more talk is going to achieve anything, as I say, I think they're just deluded. And why it's naive is, as I say, year after year, Iran has just pushed further and further with its uranium production and the ability to weaponize. It's just bleedingly obvious. And it's not, again, me or Israel making this up. This is the International Atomic Energy Agency. It's an agency of the UN. You could be skeptical of that. But long and short, they go and visit and are saying, hey, these guys are doing much more than just creating domestic nuclear capacity. They are enriching to weapons grade. And I think the latest intelligence suggests that they could have built very close to 9 weapons. So long and short, I just think, I'll just use that word again. It's naive for New Zealand to think that we could just sit back down and keep talking to a regime which time after time after time after time ignores what's been said and just pushes ahead with its agenda. And again, the naivety comes because people do not seem to understand, certainly leadership here in New Zealand, that you are dealing with religious fanatics, political fanatics. They do not care what the likes of New Zealand or the UK or America are saying. When our side tries to talk, negotiate, give concessions, they see weakness. They see opportunity. They do not see an opportunity to come to the table and negotiate. They see opportunity. And that's why we're in the situation we are now. Anyway, there's me, prattling on as usual, but I see lots and lots of comments coming in. We've got Judith here. Good morning. From the capital, lovely Wellington. I'm actually travelling down there soon. Jamie, says the concern that this will crush the American empire and drag them into a global conflict. I think there is genuine concerns about that. Marie says it's great info, and thank you, Marie. I appreciate that. Dee Dee is quoting Revelations, and I'm going to show you, even though I have a degree in Scripture, I can't remember chapter and verse. This is where I need my wife. But Dee Dee's also pointing out the aid. I think Obama was the one responsible for, is it the JCPOA? Long and short, it's the agreement between effectively the world and Iran around their nuclear development, which Iran's just stubbed their noses at. And Chris is just saying thank you, which is very kind. And Peter, lovely to have you along this morning. The other topic, I don't know why I'm losing my voice a bit this morning. I'm actually feeling very healthy, had a very good sleep. I even have my cup of coffee in my solid ground mug. By the way, if you come to the Forum on the Family, Bob and I and the wider team have a little competition going. So there's solid ground mugs, there's straight talk mugs, there's McBlog mugs, there's mugs for Africa. So we're going to see how many go out the door in a competition, a friendly competition to see who's go the furthest. Just thought I'd draw this to your attention. So this is general research that's been done, but I think applies to New Zealand. I suspect Bob and I might talk about this on Thursday when we do political playback, but a research, and I'll put up a little bit more about this in a moment. This researcher, and again, it's one person's research, so it's always counter research and so forth, but is noting that at the moment, being 18 to 24 is a very, very difficult age. They're saying everything from the experience of COVID to greater anxiety is playing its part. Social media But interesting, and why I thought I'd share it here, he's also pointing to something that we've been aware of here at Family First for a while, which is also, and I want to stress that it's not just because of this, but also the decline in marriage and in religious faith is what this research is. I've only screenshot part of the article. Of course, it's long and I'd bore you to tears if the whole thing was there. But I just think it's interesting that researchers finally are beginning to put into the mix the decline in marriage and religious faith. And I'd say it's twofold here. And what I mean by that, it's not just the fact that fewer younger people are getting married, and granted, you don't expect too many at 18 and 24 to get married, but it's also the nature of divorces in that young person's family. And I say that as someone who is a stepfather, so obviously I've married in to a post-divorce situation. You do the best you can, and you love your wife and stepkids as best you can, but to not put too fine a point on it, there's always damage that's done through a divorce, and it does have impact on the kids, no matter how hard you try to ameliorate or heal that. So I suppose that's a little bit of a personal point from me. But as I say, it's not just the decline of marriage of 18 to 24-year-olds or seeking marriage. They're seeking different types of relationships, which I think this research is saying is not as fulfilling. But it's also 18 to 24-year-olds who are coming out of broken families. And then there's the faith element, which of course is also twofold. If the parents don't have a religious faith, or even just an atheistic but moral background, a consistent background, that's going to have an impact. As to if young people don't have a sense of something bigger than themselves. Obviously within a Christian context, we'd want people to know of God and of Jesus Christ. But even if you just don't have a sense of something greater than yourself, something other than yourself. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting research right there. Dee Dee has been very clever, and I didn't even think about this, a very clever segue from my previous discussion on Iran's nuclear program to the place of the nuclear family. That is exceptionally funny. Actually, that's going to win the caption or comment of the day. Iwa, if I've read this right, says, note that Greta's 22 years old. Yes, absolutely, with her theatrics. Simply Green is saying it's all according to plan. Again, I suspect this is around this research and breaking things down. So I just thought I'd share that. And the last thing I thought I'd share, and again, it's slightly foreign affairs-y, but this is about New Zealand, and it's about actually a friend of mine, Portia. That's the lady with the flowers. And why I want to bring this up with you guys is twofold. One is to just re-emphasize to you that foreign interference from China is real. And also that our laws, New Zealand laws, are not actually helping us in this regard. And I suppose I bring it up because it's timely news. This has only just happened, what's happened to her, and a court ruling, and I'll quickly explain that. But it's also, as there's talk of China, our Prime Minister's going to visit there as we speak, and I've just published a Substack around this. I know we trade with China. It's an important part of our economy. I take that as a given. But we need to be talking more about China's human rights abuses in and around the world, certainly in China. But we also need to be talking about the constant interference by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, here in New Zealand. If you've followed me for a while, you know I've been particularly targeted by the CCP. They've tried to break in and hack my computer. There's been harassment. I'm just one of many people. The Chinese diaspora in particular get it in the neck. But Portia there with the flowers is a journalist, obviously Chinese originally, or Hong Kong. I do apologise, Portia. But now a New Zealander and a respected journalist. I've worked with her for years. She's done some amazing stories, guys, breaking open not just what the Chinese Communist Party is doing, but just good journalism. The ability to speak multiple languages is helpful. Anyway, the guy on the right, his name is Morgan Zhao, and he uses on something called WeChat, so it's a little bit like Signal or WhatsApp. WeChat's very popular within the Chinese community. He goes by the handle Demon King, but his real name's Morgan Zhao. Long and short, he's been harassing and attacking Portia online, and myself and others. I mean, I don't care, but he's been particularly targeting Portia, calling her out, challenging her on her views in very aggressive ways. He's basically a CCP stooge or thug or whatever you want. Whether he's directly paid, I don't know, but his tactics are very much what the CCP uses. Anyway, he went, and again, this is where the CCP is smart and operates. I mean, smart in the worst sense of that word. He went to court a little while ago and claimed under New Zealand's Harmful Digital Communications Act that Portia and her work was causing him harm. So as she was exposing things about the CCP, as she was also exposing things about him, because he's been a well-known operative by the CCP, as she was highlighting him, he went to the New Zealand court and got what they call an ex parte judgment, which means that it's only one party. So he got a judge in New Zealand through New Zealand's Harmful Digital Communications Act to say that Portia could no longer talk about the issues related to him or issues that offended him. Basically, New Zealand's law, manipulated by this CCP hack, stopped a New Zealand journalist talking about issues of our national security and our sovereignty. You've heard that right. They use New Zealand's Harmful Digital Communications Act to shut a New Zealand journalist down. And she did not, get this, she did not even get a say in the court. She actually got hold of me on the day that she got the letter from the court saying you have to basically cease and desist, stop talking about these issues, stop talking about Morgan Zhao, do not comment on WeChat or anywhere else. You're causing harm by, drawing attention to this corruption. And I must admit, I thought it was fake. Because I said, well, how is it? How is it that you could be served this court notice, this court restriction without you, Portia, standing before the judge? And, well, long and short, the law allows that. It's called, and again, it was my learning at the time, ex parte. Incredible. Beyond incredible. So, long and short, once we worked out that it was real, I put her on to the Free Speech Union, and kudos to those guys. They have stood by her and run a legal challenge, which recently they won, which is why she's holding the flowers. She won. And again, kudos to the Free Speech Union for backing up Portia, because as I said right at the start, she's a great journalist. I've enjoyed working with her. And you know what? People like Morgan Zhao and other CCP operatives need to see far more sunlight. And linking it back to where I started, the Prime Minister, as New Zealand's Prime Minister and others, while they go and shake hands and slap backs of the Chinese officials, need to remind China that we're an independent sovereign nation that values our national security. And we don't want to be harassed by their CCP thugs. I just hope that elements of this justice, human rights, is actually raised with China, because they're a growing problem. I see piles and piles of comments here, and I've sort of lost track. I've got Margaret there in Dunedin. Hello. Rosie's right. This guy sounds like a bully. Well, he is. He is a bully. He's continuing to try and bully Portia. She's not going to be bullied by him. She's a very strong person. As I say, he's tried to attack me and others. Not physically. We're talking verbal attacks. But he's not going to stop. Again, he's absolutely obsessed. But the underlying point here, guys, is he's in New Zealand along with other CCP operatives trying to undermine our systems and using our laws against us. So I'm going to wrap up there because we're coming up to 8 o'clock and I've got to go and take the little one to school, as I'm sure you guys have your life and work to do as well. But I might pick up on a little bit more of this on Thursday because there's another piece of law, a proposed law coming into New Zealand that could also be manipulated. With the Harmful Digital Communications Act, it was passed by a national government. It's part of the party that was asked to pass it. But I remember talking in caucus without breaking any confidences and just signalling my disquiet with it. I didn't know it was going to be used in this particular way, but I'm always nervous when laws are put forward which are just so broad and general. Who gets to define what is harmful? As this guy did, Morgan Zhao, Demon King, said that being critiqued by a journalist caused him harm, which led her to be silenced before, a costly appeal. But there's another piece of law coming. There's another piece of law coming that we should discuss, which we'll do on Thursday. As you know, Bob does Daybreak Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. I'm busy with Solid Ground on Tuesday and Thursday. Bear in mind too, Bob and I are doing a show every Thursday night live. That's at 5 o'clock. So, make sure to join us then. And as you also know, I do my Substacks. This one literally went out about an hour and a half ago. Actually, no, it's the wrong one. Apologies, I put the wrong one on. But I've just put up a new one around China. And Bob is busy with his blog. So if you go to substack.com, look up my name or look up Bob's name, you'll find our writings. If you want more of Bob and I, there's still this RCR interview, which is really, I think, cool. And tomorrow I'm going to be publishing this podcast with Marianne Spurtle, where we're talking about autonomy and conscience rights, which I'm sad to report are being undermined at the moment. So that's a really useful and important chat. Guys, it's 8 o'clock. As always, it's been lovely to have you along. Thank you for all the comments. Once again, I've got overwhelmed by them all. But I'll see you again on Thursday morning. In the meantime, you have a wonderful day. Enjoy. So it might be cold here in Auckland, but as I look out the window, it is absolutely stunning out there. So I hope you all get the chance to enjoy this amazing country. Or if you're in other parts of the world, enjoy wherever you are. But have a wonderful day, guys. We'll see you on Thursday morning.